in so many words, first and foremost, the author of the Tur, Rabbi Yaakov Baal HaTurim, says in the beginning of Choshen Mishpat, the warning about how important righteous judgment is, that it is in accordance with the Torah and not in accordance with the civil law, not in accordance with your opinion, not in accordance with whatever you think. Why? Because there's no way that a human being can judge money the right way. No way. Examples. In the United States, there are many good laws and there are even more horrific laws when it comes to money. One of them is a law in regards to insider trading. Insider trading means that somebody that either works for a company or knows somebody that works for a company gets information that hasn't been publicized by this company, which is a public company. It's a company that has a stock in the stock market. He has information that could be very valuable to investors, that could, in essence, influence the price of the stock. But this information was not publicized to the world. Now, he acts on this information either himself by buying or selling the stock, or he tells somebody else to buy or sell the stock, depending on what they think it's going to cause the stock to do. So, for example, if, let's say, he knows that this company has the cure for cancer before the world knows, okay, because of his relationship with the company, not because he did real due diligence or anything like that, but rather because he works for the company, he got the information illegally, in so many words, and he disclosed private information publicly, but for his own purposes. Now, if he now knows that they have this cure, he goes and buys the stock because he knows that once they publicize this information, the stock will skyrocket, but since he already owns the stock, he will make a bunch of money. This is called insider trading. In the United States, if you do this, not only is it illegal, not only will you lose all of the profits that you've made once the SEC catches you, the government catches you, but on top of it, you face jail time. How long? It literally could be 20, 25 years. For what? Technically a victimless crime. There really isn't a victim here. No one actually loses as a result of your win. It's not like you murdered somebody and someone lost their life. It's not like you stole the money from anybody. You bought the stock like everybody else, but because you had information. Now, this law is punishable by literally 25 years in prison. On the other hand, people that have actually murdered people, actually took somebody else's life, have gotten shorter prison sentences. People that have stolen much more money than this have gotten shorter sentences. You had some people, for example, that worked at major investment banks. They stole the company's money and treated it in an unauthorized way, caused the bank losses of billions of dollars, and pretty much they took the money and they simply made a mistake with it. They spent it on their own, or they did all types of stupid things with it. And these guys, many times, 9 months in jail, 5 years in jail, out in 3, and so on and so forth. The other guy that took, let's say, $200,000, $300,000 and made $1 million out of it, chump change in comparison to the other guy, gets 25 years in jail. This obviously doesn't make any sense, especially when you consider the law, the same exact law in other countries, like Japan, where it's not only legal to have insider trading, if you don't have it, you don't trade. That's how it is. So you see how the law here is ridiculous, where they treat murderers in a more favorable way than somebody that made a victimless crime. Now, if you did the same exact thing in a business relationship, that's a private business. For example, you had a friend that had a company, and you know what? This friend really wanted to get out of this company, and he had all types of issues and so on. And you know that even though the company, let's say, is worth $10 million, he's willing to sell it for $5 million. He's willing to sell it for $5 million, but nobody else knows. You just know because you're his friend. Really not such a good friend, but nonetheless, So what do? You tell a couple of your friends, listen, this guy says this company's worth $10 million, and it is, but I know a few things, we can get it for $5 million. Now you acting on that information, you buy a $10 million company with $5 million, technically is not so different than insider trading. But because it's a private company, it's perfectly legal. Same thing with a house. If you know that somebody you know is a grandfather of a friend of yours, has a house he doesn't want, and your friend says, listen, before this house goes on the market, if you want, house going to go on the market for $1.5 million, but if you want, before he goes on the market, you want to pay $1 million for it, I'll get him to sell it to you. You can save yourself $500,000. Technically, the same exact thing as insider information, but perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. Now again, I'm not saying that insider trading is necessarily a ethical thing to do or something that should be permissible, but you see here that there is a hypocrisy in the civil law, the law that's made by man. Now, furthermore, you'll see that when it comes to insider trading, it's in the US, in the United States, same government, it's 100% legal for politicians to use insider information for their own personal benefits. Again, it's 100% legal, or at the very least it was legal when I was still in the business some years ago, not that long ago. 100% legal for politicians in Congress to use insider information that they are privy to, especially since they're politicians, for their own personal benefits, hence the reason that they don't mind leaving their $200,000-$300,000 job in a law firm to become a politician that makes half of that. They don't mind taking that big cut. Why? Because you see that over that 5, 10, 20-year time frame that they're politicians, their net worth skyrockets. How could it skyrocket? You're only making $100,000, $150,000 a year. Even if you didn't eat, and you didn't drink, and you didn't have to pay a mortgage, and you didn't have to pay rent, and you didn't have to pay anything, and you kept every penny of your salary of $150,000 a year for the last 10 years, maximum you have is $1.5 million. And let's say you invested it wisely. Let's say you got $5 million. Let's say. In reality, not possible, but let's say you did. How did your net worth go from $300,000-$400,000 to $50 or $100 million? How? That's how. They all take advantage of insider information that is illegal for you and I, but for themselves. 100% legal. And I know this for a fact. There's a whole book called IOUSA that I read many years ago, and many other books that were written about this topic. But nonetheless, that's the reality. That's the reality. So you see here again, civil law, when it comes to money, can never be judged the right way by human beings. Can never be. If you have an argument with your friend, or you have two friends that are arguing, now, one guy says he's right. The other guy says he's right. He took this, he says that. What are you going to judge it on? You're going to judge it based on the information they both tell you, plus how you feel about both of them and how it affects you. Why? Because that's just the reality. If you know one guy stole $5 million from the other guy. Now the guy that he stole it from has hundreds of millions of dollars. That automatically, as a human being, steers your judgment. Why? Because if this guy's got billions of dollars and the other guy only has $5 million, even though he's the one that stole, automatically you're thinking, listen, the billionaire could afford it. This guy's just starting out, poor guy. Automatically your judgment is a little bit blurry. Furthermore, if you know that this $5 million guy says, listen, if I win this lawsuit, I'm going to partnerships with you. We're starting a new fund together. We're going to do a new business together. That venture you told me about, I'm going to invest $1 million in it. Now, if you're the judge and the guy that got stolen from doesn't know that you're going to benefit out of this, surely this is going to steer you in a certain way. Why? Laws of money cannot be judged the right way by people. Cannot. And on and on and on and on the list goes. The only way to have the right judgment when it comes to money is when it's according to the Torah 100%. When it's according to the Torah 100%. Because Rabotai Yekarim, people simply do not see the obligation in themselves. And what ends up happening is that many times, even if somebody wants to be a dayan, wants to be a judge according to the Torah, he himself has to follow certain rules. One of the rules, Rabotai, we learn in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 17, is Lo taguru mipnei ish. What is Lo taguru mipnei ish? You shall not tremble before any man, for the judgment is God's. This is an halacha from the Torah that a dayan, a judge, is forbidden from judging anyone that he's scared of. Forbidden judging in a case if you're scared of him. So let's say, for example, there's a certain rich person in a community, and you know that this person, if you judge against him, first of all the funding that you're getting for your yeshiva is gone. On top of it, you're probably going to get fired. On top of it, he may publicize your name in his newspapers that he owns, and so on and so forth. You're scared of all these bad things to happen. Guess what? You are not allowed to judge in this case if you're scared of that. You're not allowed to judge in this case. Forbidden from the Torah. You judge in that case, you have a serious problem with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning that when somebody judges in a case, they have to be completely crystal clear of the law itself and not consider whose side this and whose side that. And if you have a fear, you cannot judge. You cannot judge. This is the same thing. When sometimes we have certain situations where people have people in their life, in their family, and they ask them, listen, what do you think? I got into an argument with your brother, I got into an argument with your father, I got into an argument with this one, and what do you think? Who's right? If you're scared of that person, say, listen, I don't know, I don't want to get involved. Why? Your judgment will be wrong, or in essence will be steered in the wrong direction, will be cloudy. It's not going to be clear judgment. Don't get involved. Say, listen, that's what we have the Torah for. You have to go to a Beit Din. What do you mean? Beit Din, he's my father, he's my brother. Doesn't matter. Beit Din is for everybody. No, but we don't have one in our community. It doesn't have to be in your community. Go to a different community. A Beit Din is anywhere. Go to a Beit Din. That's a legitimate Beit Din. And they'll tell you who's right and who's wrong. It doesn't make a difference. Who's the father, who's the son, who's the cousin, who's the aunt, who's the uncle. Take the person to the Beit Din. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. If you don't do it, you, my friend, will have stolen money in your hands. That's what people don't understand.